Hello everybody and welcome back to a man who really needs a haircut. My name is Edinger, and earlier this week I uploaded a video about, well, I've lived in the UK for 9 years and here's some amazing big changes that I've noticed in myself and things that I still find annoying. You guys did have a lot to say about that. One comment I thought was really interesting, and I've learned a lot more from this specific comment. It comes from Mad Space Pig. Thank you for subscribing. The comment is, British people have no pronunciation consistency. I did say that. Americans, spelling and pronouncing the end of one random element on the periodic table differently for no apparent reason. Well, actually, I think it's time to learn something about the word aluminum. This is actually one of my favorite parts of doing these types of videos, the community ones, because you guys will give me a lot of insightful comments causing me to have to research things, learn more things, and then get to share it with you. It's like a nice fun cycle of learning. So the word aluminum, aluminium, however you want to pronounce it, actually has interesting origins. In 1807, it was originally coined by Sir Humphrey Davy, right, a British chemist. Now the argument's always made, why did America change the name of the element? But actually, Sir Humphrey Davy originally named the element aluminium. Now, that's actually neither one, all right? So kind of neither of us are correct. And then, within the 5 years after naming it aluminium, he was like, actually, I'm thinking aluminum. He went with the now US side, but then a lot of his friends in the chemistry world were like, bruh, come on, that's not very consistent. You know what sounds way more fancy? Putting ium at the end, like the other elements you've come up with, you know, potassium, sodium. Why not aluminium? Has a nice ring to it, sounds classy. And so he was like, all right, sure. So after 5 years of wishy-washy, aluminum, it was then aluminium. America didn't quite get the memo, and in fact, in America, in Webster's dictionary, they had just listed the one spelling and pronunciation, aluminum, in the 1800s. And so, assumably, anytime someone was going to be reporting on this rare, at the time, mineral, they'd be referring to the dictionary and going, ah yes, aluminum. It has such a nice ring to it, such a nice tinny ring. So yeah, basically for the entirety of the 19th century, the US just had one version of the word. They didn't even know about aluminium. Okay, that wasn't a big thing. It wasn't until 1909 that Webster's dictionary actually added the alternate spelling of it, saying, well, aluminium is primarily used by British chemists, whereas aluminum is referring to mining and manufacturing and everything else that has to do with the element. And as a added fun fact, Webster's added in 1934 a section for the word aluminium that said that version of the word is, quote, especially British, which it very much is, because here we are today still arguing about what's the correct pronunciation, when really I think the OG is pretty much correct. Aluminum, let's bring that back. Sounds like something from Lord of the Rings though. Like, you can have my bow and my axe. Body spray comes in a aluminum tin. Let's move on. Also, by the way, I was very surprised that so many of you enjoyed the high frame rate that I was shooting at last week, so I'm bringing it back, maybe for a couple videos, maybe not forever, depends on how I'm feeling. If I'm feeling fancy enough so I can whoosh, whoosh, whoosh. Next up, we have a comment from a Fudsy. Yet again, thank you for subscribing. Working in a job where people often give numbers to me on the phone, I can confirm some folks do say 2 sevens. Thank you very much, Fudsy, because so many comments on last week's video were like, I've never heard that. That's not a real thing. It is. It really is. I have genuinely heard this a handful of times. Yes, most British people, as I believe Fudsy is about to say, do use the terminology of like 777 or 777, even though that's an airplane, all right? Don't say it. It's really annoying. However, 777 is fine, 777 is fine, and it's actually faster than 777. Yeah. Personally, as someone who studied math and is a big math guy, my mind is constantly ready to do some calculations. If you're telling me something like, oh, my number is 55, I'm like, all right, 10? You know? I'm not even kidding. Like, I genuinely will think that. If you say 777, I'm like, 21. All right, give me that. I'm ready for it. However, way more acceptable. Absolutely so much more acceptable than 2 sevens, okay? In America, like I said, instead of saying 88, we'll say 88. That's not confusing to me. But I accept both of these. As long as you don't say 2 sevens, I think we could be friends. But on the math front as well, British people like saying 8:30 instead of 8:30, which confuses the heck out of me because I'm like, 8:30? Are you sure? 8:30's 4. Is it 4? And then also, when you say something like 8:30 in German, that means like 7:30 because it's like halfway to 8. So really there's no winning if you're trying to learn about different cultures and things. In terms of the brain front, just constantly having an aneurysm. Next up, we have Dylan. Yet again, wow, lots of subscribers in today's community. Thank you very much. I personally have never heard someone say 3 sevens when they mean 777. I usually hear 777, which is less confusing. Yes, we've already gone over this, Dylan, okay? 777 is an airplane. Please stop. Evan complaining about people saying Philadelphia, and then cuts to him saying he calls tissues Kleenex in the highlight of this video. Okay, so my point about Philadelphia was not that it's a brand, all right? Because obviously I was saying British people say Hoover, I just say vacuum cleaner. However, with tissues, I say Kleenex. You know, that makes sense. I wasn't making that argument at all. What I was making the argument about was that Philadelphia is a city, an incredibly famous, well-known city that I grew up next to. So for me, I have such an incredibly strong relationship with that word being, you know, attached to a city. Not a pile of cheese, not a big pot of cream cheese. I understand that Philadelphia cream cheese exists, and we do have that in the States, and that's a big thing. But we just call it cream cheese, because otherwise you'd be like, it'd be like if, let's just say I make a drink, okay, and I'm serving it to you, I'm like, hey, would you like some London? Mate, what? No, my nose is clean. I don't want no smog coming out. You know, what does that mean? Give me some London? It's a city, okay? That I am totally on board with the whole pronunciation of brands and things. Don't worry, but I do think that's funny. Weetabix is trash. You, sir, have insulted my honor. It's just not that good. Actually, speaking of Weetabix not being that good, I'm doing a cereal tier list, including US and UK cereals, because yet again, the Americans are at it. They're doing a tier list, which is fine and good because I freaking love cereal, but they're forgetting the UK cereal. You guys could love that shit. It's coming out next Sunday or the Sunday after that, so be subscribed. See, V here knows exactly what I'm talking about. You're all missing the point. The cream cheese issue being that the named brand equivalent is also a major US city, and the city he relates the name to. This isn't a brand name versus generic version argument, it's specific to Philadelphia. Thank you. It's nice when every once in a while, as I'm getting attacked in the comments by angry British people with an American that has the audacity to insult a slight thing. It's nice being defended by the one person that's like, hey, this is actually what he meant. Doc Martens, that did annoy a lot of people. Doc Martens don't even look that great. Yes, they do. No, they don't. It's subjective. Basically, if I wanted my feet to bleed for a couple months, I'd want them to look a little better, okay? That's all I'm trying to say. You might think they look good. They don't look 3 months of bleeding good, in my opinion, all right? When you said fornication, it sounded like fornication. Ha ha ha. Yeah, that is actually something that I noticed in the edit because I said fornication so fast for an occasion. Fornication. And it sounds so much like fornication. But I was gonna put the edit in and have like text, but I thought, you know what? Let's see how many people pick up on this as well as a joke. And I'm glad I did, because geez, you guys got bad ears. Hear naughty things. Speaking of naughty things, Mother's Day. Very naughty. In the UK is actually Mothering Sunday, and it comes from the Middle Ages when on the 4th Sunday of Lent, people who moved from home to work were allowed back to visit their mother church and family. Mother's Day in the US only started in the 1900s when it became a public holiday after someone had a private memorial for their mother. I never knew this before this video. I've gotten a couple comments on that. That is genuinely fascinating. I always thought it had to do with, you know, mothers. I mean, it does at this point, but the fact that the UK one goes back to the Middle Ages by visiting your mother church, because it's always on a Sunday, amazing. The US one, yeah, I mean, it's just about loving moms. Or it came from a private memorial for a mom. I mean, that's just really interesting. Thank you guys so much for always providing great content for these community videos. On the topic of reading phone numbers aloud, I once used 0, 0, and naught for the same number. You would not catch me doing that because naught is not a word in my vocabulary, but I've definitely said 0 and O multiple times. I guess O must be really confusing for a lot of like English as a second language people because that's a letter, but I feel like I say O more than I say 0 or 0. Is that how? I've never heard a British person pronounce 0. It's just they say Z and then they go for 0. Here again. Okay, cancel me. In the UK, everyone just hates everything. After 9 years, he finally gets it. So, I've only just realized that Americans have gardens, or at least I've always thought of a yard as a paved area. So when reading books, the kids are playing in the backyard. I never imagined grass. Yeah, hopefully this is something that if you guys didn't know this is a big learning thing. Yards are grass. I mean, they can be like cement, like a schoolyard, I think is a very specific type where it is paved, but our schoolyards also had loads of grassed areas. So yeah, whenever you hear the word yard, it's usually grassed. Doesn't have to be, but most of the time playing in the backyard, you got trees. I had like a nice dogwood out there, playing climbing trees in the yard. No cement. Yeah. To me, a yard is like a schoolyard. Yeah, like concrete, no grass. But then we have Trevor that says, that's funny because I'm American and my understanding of garden has always been a large area full of soil and flowers and such. Exactly the same as me. So whenever I'd hear people say playing in the garden, I'd think they were frolicking through flowers. Exactly. Before moving here, if I ever heard someone say they were playing the garden, I thought they were trampling on all the vegetables, which I have learned thanks to you guys as well. In England, somehow I've never come across this, probably because I live in London and, well, no one has that much land here. Vegetable patch is the term for that. So you have a vegetable patch in the garden, whereas in America we have a garden in the yard. Fun, fun, fun. Grilling versus broiling. I found this really interesting image when looking up this for debate because everyone was really upset. It turns out, sure, the grill is like basically that slotted thing that you're putting it on. So hypothetically, as long as you're cooking on that type of thing, you can call it grilling, okay? I rescind, okay? I made a mistake. You can call it grilling if you want, but personally, if it's in an oven, I'm still gonna prefer broiling just because I like the specificity. I like that it's a different word, and that's just me. Lastly, we've got, I feel like British people will take out a knife and fork at a restaurant to eat a burger. Yes, we will. Well, in my opinion, that's just unholy. British people invented the sandwich, okay? This is one of your most beautiful creations, most beautiful inventions, all right? Arthur Dent, think about it. Delicious sandwich. Bread, so that you don't have to touch the meats and cheeses and sauces. You can have a nice clean hand, and you defile it. You defile your own invention with a fork and a knife, okay? Very offensive, and I refuse to say knife and fork because that's just not what I say. Also, speaking of using a knife and a fork, there you go, you happy? I hope I never, ever, ever am in your presence when you use a fork and a knife on a slice of pizza. That is the most cardinal American sin. Okay, there's some things you should not be doing in the UK. Standing on the right side of the escalator. Standing on the left side of the escalator. You should not be doing that. No. Talking on the underground. Don't do it. Leaving the lights on in the house and not mentioning that it's the Blackpool Illuminations. Those are the 3 rules of UK culture. The only one we've got in the US, do not use a knife and fork on a piece of pizza. Okay? You get kicked out of New York, New Jersey, even Chicago, actually, even though their pizza probably would fit a fork and a knife better. I work in a cinema. Well, I did. And I can confirm that the popcorn tastes like it was made a long time ago. Because it was made a long time ago. It comes pre-popped in giant bags. Well, there it is. Mystery solved. Why does cinema popcorn in the UK taste so bad? Because it is bad. It's old and pre-made. They can't even make you fresh popcorn here. The smallest of things. I just want a nice bit of fresh butter on some freshly popped popcorn if I want to go see a film. People say, why would you buy it there anyway? You can just buy it pre-popped and bring it. Yeah, because that's the standard you're getting. That's like saying, why would you go to a restaurant and order fresh food if you can just bring old-made, pre-made food? Get out of here. Anyway, don't get out of here, please. Come back, subscribe to my channel. I make new videos every Sunday and Thursday. We're bringing the community videos back for about a month or so. We'll see how you guys like it. Anyway, thank you so much for watching today's video. Hope I have been able to entertain you in some regard, or at least educate you on cool things. And without further ado, I guess I gotta hit the bed soon. I'll see you in the next one. Goodbye.